Welcome back to Shades of Cheyenne. If you watched my first video, I am so very appreciative. And I also just want to say thank you to everybody who subscribed. I hope that you are here to not only cheer me on, but to also help yourself if you need that help. Today, I want to just discuss with everyone the basics of fear and anxiety. I want to go over the differences and how they're similar so that we can really start to break those two down. I'm going to start by just simply defining them as if you were just to Google the word or pull out the old dictionary, and we will go from there. So anxiety is described in a multitude of ways. We have our, psychology definition and then the dictionary definition, and I'm going to go over both of those. With the psychology definition, anxiety is described as a nervous disorder characterized by a state of excessive uneasiness, apprehension, typically with compulsive behavior or panic attacks. And then the dictionary would describe it as a feeling of worry, nervousness, or unease, typically about an event or something with an uncertain outcome. And when I first read those, I really just had the thought of how simple do they make it sound? Because my anxiety feels anything but simple. But never mind. Fear is described as an unpleasant emotion caused by the belief that someone or something is dangerous, likely to cause pain or a threat. So they sound pretty similar. They look pretty similar. And they are pretty similar. Chemically, they are the same. But what you notice about the definitions is that anxiety is not described so much as an emotion, but much more as a reaction. And that's where we need to dive deeper to fully understand. Without understanding the difference, how are we supposed to know where fear ends and anxiety begins? So let's talk about fear first. Fear is our fight or flight response. We've all heard that term, and it's a natural response to any imminent danger in a situation. It amps up the metabolism in anticipation of danger, and then it lets us know when we need to defend ourselves or when we need to flee. There's also been research done that our responses go beyond fight or flight. They add in freeze or fawn. So freeze is pretty simple to understand. It's basically just when we have an imminent threat in front of us, we're frozen solid. We become incapable of making a decision to see where we need to go from there or how to get out of it. We're just stuck. Now, fawn is a totally different type of response. It involves immediately moving to try to please the person to avoid any conflict. My grandmother, who is a psychologist, actually brought this response to my attention. She informed me that it is typically found in women. So when I was reading about it, I found that it is the response that I more lean toward. And honestly, because it's so in-depth, I feel like it deserves this discussion all on its own. So I may dive deeper into studying that response, and we can discuss it in deeper detail later. But the most important thing here to notice is that fear is natural. Fear is something we are supposed to feel in the face of danger. But fear is very easily spread to other people, and it very, very quickly becomes contagious. So I put together these examples of fear versus anxiety that I'm going to go over to just kind of make it more relatable so that we can see the difference. So, when the news first spread about COVID-19 and the dangers of it, fear spread throughout the entire world. Everyone rushed to buy supplies that they needed. They prepared their households for being stuck in their homes for long periods. They did whatever they saw necessary to protect their loved ones from a virus that we really didn't fully understand yet. This was fear. It was rational. And every one of us reacted in some way because we all felt that basic instinct of fight or flight. Now, anxiety, however, does not require a triggering stimulus. It is very different from fear in that anxiety is the future and fear focuses much more on the present. So anxiety is the anticipation of a threat that is feared. It's basically fear before fear. So for example, some of us already live in this state of over-preparedness. We've already bunkered down and prepared ourselves for what could happen. Now, when COVID-19 hit, and we all responded in fear, and we've all been living in fear this entire time, I do think that we are going to find a lot more people that form this anxiety, this PTSD form of anxiety going forward. We may find that more people live in this constant state of panic, always keeping their homes well stocked with extra supplies, ensuring that they clean excessively and that they seclude themselves from the outside world just in anticipation of what could happen in the future and not what is imminently in front of them. This anxiety, fearing the unknown, and living in a state of panic before we know if there is a need to panic, that is where it is no longer rational and it has become irrational. So I read this article by a doctor on Psychology Today. I hope that I say his name correctly. His name was Dr. Shahram Heshmat. And in this article, he explains the benefits of being anxious and how anxiety can be a form of strength. So he states that anxiety is productive when it is not excessive. Worriers are more likely to be more goal-oriented, more organized, and self-disciplined. However, when anxiety is excessive and disconnected from reality, it no longer provides an accurate and reliable signal of danger. It begins to produce a sense of what if thinking inside of us. What if this happened? What if this person does this to me? What if, another crisis hits the world? What if is the false alarm. It creates this false alarm within you and makes this sense of panic inside of you where panic is not necessary. So our goal here, and my goal, is not to eradicate myself of anxiety, but to reduce it, to learn to recognize those false alarms, and when our what if thinking is more in control than our sense of general fear and imminent danger. So to do this, we need to discover the source of those anxieties and to understand the type of anxiety that we actually have. Over the next few weeks, I'm going to talk about the different forms of anxiety so that we can better understand and see what category we may fall into. So I hope you all enjoyed this video. If so, please hit the sub button and let me know in the comments if you have a better understanding of fear versus anxiety, or if you need any other information. Now, if you know anyone that may benefit from this subject matter, please share. The goal here is to reach as many people possible and to help raise awareness to the subject of anxiety, because for so many of us, it is very, very difficult to discuss. So thank you guys so much for joining. I am Shades of Cheyenne, and this is my SOS.